It's a very dangerous situation with the International Atomic Energy Authority saying that it's an accident waiting to happen. This is because you cannot cut power to a nuclear reactor. It is a very dangerous thing to do. The Zaporizhzhia plant is the largest nuclear station in Europe. And now for the second time in 2 days, power has been cut. Now, this has important implications for the cooling of the reactor and also, very importantly, the cooling of the high-level radiation spent fuel ponds. Once full power is cut to Zaporizhzhia, then reliance is on backup diesel generators, which are, not efficient. These have to be fueled and refueled, and there are questions about what then would happen if they were hit, what then would happen if the reactor pressure vessel were hit, what then would happen if the spent fuel ponds were hit. Well, in a worst case scenario, you would have a similar situation to Fukushima. It wouldn't be Chernobyl because the reactors are differ from the Chernobyl reactors, which were graphite reactors. But what you would see is a heating of the reactors. You'd see a heating of the high-level spent fuel ponds. You'd see hydrogen explosion, as we saw in Fukushima, and then you'd see a significant radiation release. This is a worst-case scenario. The immediate impact would be felt very much around Ukraine, obviously, and of course Russia, depending on which way the wind blows. It's largely the main deposit is likely to be in Ukraine and/or Russia, but there could be significant radiation pollution in Central Europe, which is why countries around Ukraine are now thinking very seriously about issuing stable potassium iodide tablets, which inhibit the uptake of an aspect of that pollution. Basically, what we've got here is the weaponization of civil nuclear, perhaps for the first time. And in an increasingly unstable world, it's important to understand this and what this implies for nuclear worldwide. Now, in terms of the larger strategic thinking around the war, it has to be remembered that Russia and Russia-controlled Kazakhstan provide 42% of all uranium to reactors worldwide and 20% of all uranium to the reactors in the EU. EDF is still doing business with Russia. So all of this has very significant implications for nuclear and the nuclear industry. The IAEA must publish and advise on any on retrofitting present reactors and advise in terms of any form of new reactors for the event of a military attack on a civil nuclear plant. The problem being, of course, is that it's almost impossible to defend. Now, the reactor pressure vessel is defended by a large hunk of concrete, but with bunker busters, that can be got through. The further problems are the much less well-defended spent fuel ponds. 20 years ago, colleagues and I were discussing whether we should talk about this publicly, and we thought maybe not, because the idea was not to give anybody ideas. But now the cat is, securely out of the bag, and we need to consider the potential risk of further nuclear in an increasingly unstable world. And if there's one sort of takeaway from this, is the relative lack of discussion about this.